Sometimes people ask me, how do I know which scriptures are true, or how do I know that any of them are? My answer is simple. Truth bears witness to itself, and creation bears witness to the truth. It is a matter of letting our Creator's creation testify to right versus wrong, and then letting right versus wrong testify to His Word. From there we can let His Word define all truth, because His Word testifies to His Son. And His Son said in John 17:17, Father, purify them through your truth. Your Word is truth. From this basis, it is quite simple, because anything that opposes His Father's Word is not truth. This is how we can determine which writings are not part of His Word and which are. If they oppose the Word that Yeshua bore witness to, they are false. The same goes with anyone who says that they serve our Elohiym or speak on His behalf. We have to measure all things with His Word that Yeshua bore witness to. If I or anyone else speak in opposition to His Word that Yeshua testified to, we are false. It's very simple. This is how simple it is, but the problem is we need His 7 spirits to fully understand His Word, and this requires us to first be keeping the commandments. His Word says so, and His Son said so. You might ask, but how does nature testify to His Word? I will give you some examples. Homosexuality is evil because it opposes nature, and His Word says that homosexuality is evil, so it's a match. Just the continuance of life alone requires us to reproduce, and reproduction does not happen through homosexuality. And of course, He commanded us to go forth and multiply. Pretty basic. Lying is evil because it causes division and does not result in harmony. Therefore, it hurts pure relationships. It hurts love. Stealing is evil for the same reason. Our Creator created evil and put it here in His creation to teach us His righteousness. It's here by design. We can go right down the line with and measure His Word with what nature testifies to, and we'll find a match every time. It's in balance with each other, and evil is in contradiction to it. His creation is His classroom, and His Word is the textbook. He commanded us to love Him with all of our heart and with all of our mind and with our entire life. He made this commandment so that we would cleave unto His class and His Word to guide us. He made this commandment so that we would remain relying on Him for our source for all understanding, so that He can mold us to be as He is. All part of His design process, His purifying process. This life that He gave us in the flesh is to be a testing and a proving grounds if we are to become His. Otherwise, He lets us go our own way to be a witness against us in the judgment. Back to needing His 7 spirits to understand His Word, and not having His spirits even given to us unless we are keeping His commandments. People write me nearly daily and tell me that I am wrong, yet they do not even keep His commandments. So how could they know that I am wrong if they don't have His 7 spirits guiding Him? The answer is obvious. If my Father's Word is true, which it is, they cannot know. They are the ones who are being led by the spirit of rebellion to my Father's Word, not me. They are of their father the devil, bringing false accusations upon me. The really crazy thing is, most of these people also say that they believe that His Word is true. If this is you and you believe that His Word is true, then why don't you believe it in regards to the evidence that it gives that He has sent me? The evidence that He has sent me is staggering in His Word. Yet most of you who say that you believe His Word do not believe this evidence. How willfully ignorant can you be? It is because you do not want to acknowledge that you are wrong. I'm telling you you're wrong, and you can't handle that. You are full of pride, and you are lifted up in what you believe to be true. And it's not me telling you that you're wrong anyhow. It's His Word telling you. It's your rebellion to His Word, and you're just not handling that. You're not handling the correction. And you're going to need to get off your high horse. His Word says that He would send His end-time servant to tell you to return to His Torah in the last days. If you do not believe this, then why are all of the prophecies for the end times about returning to the Torah and to the paths of old? Why don't one of you write me and explain this to me, because something must be wrong with my thinking since you think that I am wrong. Either I must be pretty stupid for believing my Father's word on this matter, or you must be pretty stupid for not believing it. Which one do you think it is? After all, we both claim that it is his word, and we both claim that his word is true. I'll tell you why it is too. You mix in Saul's writings. I'll talk a little bit more about that today. Don't you think that just maybe the one who claims that it is his word but does not believe it just might be the stupid one? I have another question for you. Why do you have the writings of the prophets in your Bibles if you refuse to believe them and you want to let Saul's writings trump them? I will tell you why. It is because you know that they are the only thing that testifies that Yeshua is the Messiah. Therefore, your belief that he is hangs on them. So you have to keep them in there. And that's why the whore of Babylon kept the true writings in there. And of course, it was by design as well. Our Creator said that the true writings would be available to the scattered nations of Israel at the time of the end. But I spoke about that in a lot of these videos. It is the same word that testifies that he has sent me, that testifies that Yeshua is the Messiah. But like your ancestors did, you pick and choose what to believe from these writings. And that's, of course, why they killed him. Didn't see that he was the Messiah. And you condemn me, even though the same word that testifies to our Messiah testifies to me in the same manner. It is also his word that proves that Saul of the Tares is false and that he is the abomination that desolated the true word of Elohiym. But you pick and choose what you will believe or obey, so you ignore the scriptures that testify that he is false, just like you ignore the scriptures that testify that I am true. Obviously, it should be a contradiction. If Saul's writings contradict the writings of Moses, there should be a problem, don't you think? But you refuse to even acknowledge this contradiction because you just let Saul's writings trump Moses' writings. Trouble is Yeshua didn't bear witness to Saul's writings, did he? He actually warned us that a wolves would come in sheep's clothing like this and bring lawlessness. But you ignore those scriptures as well. Ignore what you want to ignore. Believe what you want to believe. Crazy. And then say, oh, they all harmonize together. You're a bunch of liars and hypocrites. I mentioned that part of the reason why he gave us his Torah was to test us and to prove us whether we would love him and cleave to him or not. I will use one of these tests for an example today. I'll use one of the big ones, his weekly Sabbaths. Of course, I could use a small one like I do in a lot of these videos, like putting on blue tassels, but it don't matter. You rebel to nearly all of his word, yet you say you obey him. It just gets crazy. I mean, it's hard to believe that people could be this willfully ignorant. Breaking his Sabbaths is evil because it separates us from his instruction. He said so. He said it's evil. He said we're to be put to death if we break his Sabbath. You don't believe this either, do you? Don't believe that the person who breaks it should be stoned either, do you? Although you're more righteous than your Creator. Bunch of liars and hypocrites. It is essential to have his Sabbath correct because he said that it's a sign between him and us. In Exodus 31, verses 12 through 14, and Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, verily you shall keep my Sabbaths, because it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, so that you will know that I am Yahweh that sanctifies you, or purifies you. Therefore you shall keep the Sabbath, because it is to be holy or set apart to you. Everyone that defiles it or profanes it, dying they will die, because whosoever does any work therein, that soul will be cut off from being my people, he says. And I guess you guys don't believe these words, do you? Why don't one of you write me and tell me what you do believe besides Saul's writings? You just don't talk about the prophecies of the end times, and of course you don't even understand those, but you want to tell me what they say, what different meanings of those prophecies are. Can't even see your willful hypocrisy and rebellion. Why do you think that this subject of the Sabbath is not an important subject to have correct and to do? Most of you don't. Obviously, most of you do not, because you tell me how and when you tell him how and when you will show up for his Sabbaths, or if you will even show up for a perverted form of them at all. I have people write me and tell me that Yeshua became his Sabbaths, or that they really do not matter, or it does not matter when or how we keep them. Where do they find these things in the scriptures? They twist verses and such, and twist the writings of Saul. And why didn't Yeshua say something like this? Instead, he said he didn't come to get rid of one punctuation mark from his Father's Torah. But you don't want to believe those verses, do you? Liars. Others say that they can set aside any day in 7, or they will make a claim that he was resurrected on Sunday morning on man's calendar, so this is the day, or a whole host of other blasphemies. First of all, Yeshua was resurrected towards the end of the 17th day of the first month on his Father's calendar in the early morning hours before the 18th began. It does not matter what day of the week that this falls on in the pagan Roman calendar. Our Creator does not use man's calendar. It's a blasphemy. It was created by Satan. If this happens to be on a Sunday morning on man's calendar or Satan's calendar, it makes little difference because the next year anniversary of it would be on a different day on man's calendar anyway. But you could care less about your Creator's calendar, just like you can care less about any of his word. Yet you want to write me and tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm not his prophet. Tell me what scriptures say. Tell me what prophecies say. You can't even obey the simplest of his commandments, and you certainly don't obey this one. And others of you even pervert this anyway. Whole other subject. Those of you who think that the Sabbaths are on some other fixed day of the week on Satan's calendar, like Saturday, you are equally mistaken. If you feared being wrong, you would examine the evidence. Our Creator's word defines his calendar if you search for it. It is not in plain sight because he wants us hungering to be in agreement with him and fighting to be in agreement with him. It is part of the test. Man wants to define how to obey him, and it does not work this way. His word tells us how to obey him. Some of it is unhidden manna, and we have to obey that unhidden manna, and then he'll teach us the hidden manna. We have to seek to obey both. He goes on to say in the following verses, "Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout your generations." So he hits it home again, for a perpetual covenant, ongoing. It didn't go away. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. Because in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. If you think that it does not matter which day, you are sorely mistaken. He said that he put the luminaries in place so that we can know when they are. Believe him. They are etched in his creation. His calendar is etched in his creation. He said so. And like the rest of his word, his creation bears witness to this. A 7-day continual rotating Sabbath on man's calendar does not fit into the rotations of his luminaries, nor does it fit into his word. And I've spoken on this in great detail. If you want to go back and examine the evidence. Are the new moon commanded worship days? It's a video I did, and it explains this. No one could refute it because it's so simple a youngster should be able to understand it. Yet people listen to it and don't understand it because they are that willfully blind. He said he put his rotation, his luminaries there for his appointed times. He meant it. Pretty straightforward. But most of you could care less because his word has no place in you, even though you say that you believe that it is his word. Isn't this hypocrisy? I am telling you this about when his Sabbaths are on his authority, and I am telling you that if you refuse to turn to this truth in the coming days, you will be purged out. And I'm telling you this in his authority as well. Notice that I just said in his authority, on his authority. He gave me a resume to back this up, just as he gave his firstborn son a resume. It is found in his word, and it is irrefutable, and you claim that you believe this word, so believe it. I suggest that you examine this resume closely. Like I said a couple of minutes ago, I have people write me and tell me that I am the one that's wrong nearly daily now, but they write me bearing witness to themselves. They don't have a resume in his word backing them up. They want to tell me how it is. Don't you think that's a little bit willfully ignorant? Like the Pharisees and Sadducees and the scribes telling Yeshua he was wrong. Of course, nowhere near comparing myself to Yeshua by any means. He had his Father's Spirit without measure and no comparison whatsoever. But I do speak the same truth because he's put his word in my mouth. These people who write me and tell me I'm wrong, they measure me what they think is true without even having my Father's Spirit. Because his word testifies that they don't have his Father's Spirit. My Father's Spirit. It's pretty clear. I mean, you guys say, oh, I'm guided by his Spirit too. Well, then you must be calling Yeshua a liar because he said in order for you to have his Father's Spirit, you have to keep the commandments. Which one do you think is true? You, your beliefs, or the word of the Most High and his Son? You lift yourself up above his word with your false beliefs. You're blasphemous. You're wise in your own understanding in what you believe to be true. And since what I speak does not agree with what you believe, you call me wrong and call me false. Your ancestor did the same thing with Yeshua. They wanted to know who bore witness to what he spoke. Here's what he told them. In John 5, verse 36, "Moreover, I have a greater witness than that of John, because the works which my Father has given me to finish, the same works that I do bear witness that the Father has sent me. And my Father himself which has sent me bears witness of me. You have neither heard his voice at any time, nor perceived his image. And you do not have his word abiding in you. For this cause you do not believe the one whom he has sent. And very clear, he's telling them that they don't his word is not in their hearts, in their inward parts. He goes on to tell them to search the scriptures for this evidence. I say the same thing. I've been telling people to do the same exact thing. Search the scriptures. My Father's word bears witness that he has sent me because of the works that he has sent me to finish. Examine these works. Measure them against his word. But most of you cannot see this because his word has no place in your hearts, because you have refused the condition that would have caused him to have written it in your hearts and in your inward parts. You tote around his word in your Bibles, but it is not your measuring rod. You don't measure all things with it. You want to measure me and everything else with your own wisdom and your own understanding of what you've learned from Bible scholars and Satan's servants that do not have the commandments. The saints are those who keep the commandments and have the same faith, the same belief that Yeshua has. Don't you believe this either? Like I said, show me what you believe besides Saul of Tarsus' writings. Oh, you'll pick John 3:16 like I talk about in other videos, but you won't read John 18, 2 verses later, or none of the 4 or 5 verses that follow it or lead up to it. It's unbelievable, willful ignorance. Someone wrote me yesterday and told me that I am false because I say that Saul is false. This is because they refuse to measure Saul with the same measuring rod that Yeshua bore witness to. They have chosen to believe the mother whore of Babylon instead of believing my Father's word. Their pretense is that all of the Bible is the inspired word of Elohiym. Who said so? Is it his inspired word because the Catholic Church says so? They are the ones who put it together. It's not put together by my Father's servants. Our Creator commanded each of us to guard and to hedge about his word. He did not say that it was going to be combined together in one infallible book that would be put together by whom his true word calls the mother whore of Babylon. Come on, people, you cannot be this gullible. My Father's word says that the abomination of desolation would stand with his word. And he has now revealed this to us because now his temple, his first fruits, has been built. And the reason that it was concealed has been removed. He said that his word would be available to the scattered nations of Israel in the last days, and it is. But he allowed for the enemy to stand alongside of it to test us and to prove us as part of building his first fruits. And most of you have failed the test by choosing to hearken to the word of Satan instead. And you missed out on being a part of his first fruits. You made this choice because you did not want to hearken to the voice of Yahweh Elohim. You took the bait, hook, line, and sinker, the bait of Satan, because you were not guarding and you were not holding fast to his word and that he gave to us, that would have offered us protection from Satan. You gobbled up the lies so that you did not have to become our Creator's righteousness. And that's what he put us here to be, to become as he is. You did not want to be made in his image, so you set out to make him in your own image. And now you're going to find out that your efforts did not yield results because you are going to cry out to the image of the one that you call God, and he will not hear you because a make-believe deity does not have ears to hear. And my Father is going to tell you, where is the rock whom you have put your trust in? But now the abomination has been revealed and the evidence has been given. Believe the evidence and flee from the lies that you have embraced. The evidence in his word is in his word, and it's the same word that you say is true, so believe it. Folks, this is all part of prophecy and it's being fulfilled. But you want to hold on to what you thought the prophecy said, and you didn't have his 7 spirits to even guide you in the prophecy. To believe one verse. Believe one verse that you can only have his 7 spirits if you keep the commandments. And then look down on your sleeves and your pant legs and see if you have the blue tassels on. What makes you think you have his 7 spirits? So what makes you think you can understand prophecy? You know, if you were in a twilight zone, I mean, it's amazing that now this stuff is being brought forward. I didn't know it either. I was in the deception. But now he's speaking it in plain language. Things that were hidden are not hidden any longer. And most of you are rejecting this. It's crazy. And it's all in his measuring rod. I suggest that you get off of your high horses and get humble and quickly. Otherwise, you're going to be humbled like you cannot imagine. proving that Saul is the abomination is a very simple thing if you believe my Father's word that his Son became and testified to. Just like proving when the Sabbaths are is a very simple exercise as well. If you examine this evidence with an open heart and want to know the truth and acknowledging what his word says, it's simple. Part about Saul, a lot of it was hidden, but he showed many people along the way that he was calling them that Saul was false. But now it's been revealed that he's the abomination of desolation. So lay siege to what he's revealing and embrace it and flee from whatever's false. It is just a matter of believing our Creator's word. Another person wrote me yesterday and inquired about a second witness that I am his prophet. I think that's what they were implying. Where's the second witness? Well, here is the first witness's response to the same question. In John 8, verses 17 and 18, and it is written in the Torah that was given to you that the testimony of two men is true. I am one that bears witness of myself, and my Father that sent me bears witness of me. He was telling them that it is his Father's word that tells them that two witnesses are required, and it is the same word that bears witness that he has sent him. His witness of himself is the works that he was sent with. Together they prove that he was sent by his Father. Search the scriptures and you will find a perfect match in the works that I have been sent with that my Father has sent me with as well. And he is suggesting that you start hearkening to these works and return to his Torah and cover your heads and make straight your paths to prepare for the coming Exodus. He is telling you to stop eating the leavened bread of men and fill up with his unleavened bread of life. He is telling you to cry aloud and lift up an offering of righteousness to him and herald in his Son's return by shouting it and sparing not. He is telling you to not mourn over those who are going to be purged out because they will not hearken to him. And he is telling you this through me. If it's not about me, but this is what he is saying. If you need another witness, shame on you. His word says that when this sign is sent, you can know that it is from him. Isn't his word good enough? The title of this video is Truth Bears Witness to Itself. My Father's word is truth, and he gave it to us to purify us. If you have bypassed the purification process by bypassing his word, obeying his word, you have simply chosen not to be his children. Can't you just acknowledge this? It's a pretty simple reality that his word bears witness to. If his word is not good enough witness for you, prepare to be introduced to his indignation and prepare to be purged out if you will not repent. His Son bore witness to his word, I keep saying, because he did. He told Pilate this, for this reason I came into the world, was to bear witness to the truth. And he shed his blood so that it could be written in our hearts and in our inward parts. But most of you refuse to hearken to the conditions that he brought so that his blood could be applied on your behalf. My Father is suggesting that you turn to these conditions. That's what repentance is. He is suggesting that you choose life and live, but the choice is yours to make.